Where my ladies in their 40s and 50s at?
Hello. So this is the beginning of a series I'm doing on goddess practice. I'm really excited about this. It's inspired by a 3-month journey I went on a few years ago using one of my favorite books called Awakening, Shakti by Sally Kempton. But first, if you're new here, hi, I'm Kai, and this is Stephanie Danger. I created her to serve as a sort of alter ego for middle-aged women to help inspire us to go on a midlife rebellion, ask some questions, switch things up. If you haven't already, please subscribe and hit the little bell icon to be notified when I drop new videos. Or you can subscribe to my newsletter at stephaniedanger.com. I get a little more personal and give a little more behind the scenes. So by the time we reach midlife, it's not uncommon to have shut down parts of ourselves. As women, we more often tend to sacrifice ourselves for our children or caretaking of aging parents or loved ones. Social conditioning can do a number on us. Living in a patriarchal society doesn't help. And I don't know about you, but I want those lost parts back. Not to mention, middle age is a time when it starts to get really easy to get set in our ways and start living small. So what goddess practice does is it enlarges our sense of self. And as I go into middle age and beyond, I want to feel as whole as possible. I'm revisiting this goddess practice again, and I thought I would bring you along. So before we go any further, I want to address a few things. First is, goddess practice connects us to our sacred feminine, which is really an energy that resides within all of us, regardless of gender or how you identify. So anyone can do goddess practice. In fact, I think everyone should do goddess practice. I tend to talk to middle-aged women because I love and adore you, and they are who I am first and foremost making videos for. But feel free to hang out even if you aren't middle-aged and don't identify as a woman. The other thing is, even though for the most part goddess practice can be fun, it will also reveal parts of you that you may not be comfortable with, or that you've subconsciously hidden because of cultural conditioning. In fact, I can pretty much guarantee that you will at some point come across at least one goddess where your response is, oh hell no, I do not like you. I don't like what you stand for. I am not going there. But I will gently say that when that goddess shows up, she's the one that you might want to consider leaning into. So fair warning, tapping into the divine feminine does take courage. It has its own strength, but because we haven't taught the value of this type of strength, it can be scary. And what's great is, once you develop a bond with the goddess energies, you can call on them for guidance and support in your daily life at the drop of a hat, and they will be there for you. So the goddesses we're going to explore are deities from the Indian tradition. The Sanskrit word for deity is Deva or Devi, which means shining one. And this is exactly what deities are, beings of light who exist at the subtle level of awareness. When you tune into a deity figure, you are liberating certain qualities of yourself. So when we focus on these energies, they empower transformation at the subtle level where it's possible to make changes that can then show up in our worldly physical life. For this first video, I thought it would be good to talk about Shakti, which is the divine mother or supreme feminine power. Sometimes she's called Mahashakti and is known as the goddess who is all that is, or the ultimate reality itself. A core feature of Shakti is the principle of non-rejection. All beauty and all ugliness flow from her. And this is in line with the desire to embrace all parts of ourselves, or as I like to say, we ain't all cute. The myth goes that Shakti broke herself into tiny pieces from the one whole, which gave us the illusion of separateness. These tiny pieces manifested as different goddess forms with specific attributes and unique energies. They serve as archetypes representing different aspects of ourselves. And when they come together, they help us liberate ourselves from the illusion of separateness and help us return to wholeness. It is believed that in order to fulfill our purpose to the best of our ability, we need all sides of ourselves, the good and the bad. Story time! I want to share a story from Hindu mythology about an influential philosopher named Shankara who lived in 8th century India. Okay, I'm telling you this story in hopes of pissing you off, but then inspiring you to get curious about goddess practice. Shankara metaphorically described the physical and social universe as a burning ocean of endless suffering. Well, we're off to a good start. He blamed this on the feminine power known as Maya, mistress of illusion and trickery. He felt Maya was a cosmic power that veiled the true nature of the world. And since Maya is considered feminine, in his eyes, all women were seen as tainted with Maya's power of illusion, and so dangerous to anyone who was seeking truth. So instead of recognizing the feminine as the creative power of life, he saw her as the enemy of truth. In one famous hymn, he actually sang that human women with their alluring bodies were burdened with breasts and that hole below the navel. Excuse me, you would not exist without the hole below the navel. Just saying. Okay, deep breath, onwards. Anyways, as is the way of the divine feminine, it had a very creative way of introducing itself to the philosopher. One day, Shankara finds himself at the bank of a flooding river. Now, he viewed himself as fearless. He had conquered a tiger or something in the past and so considered himself invincible. He wades into the river to get to the other side, except halfway across, he finds himself in rushing water up to his chest. Then suddenly his body stops working, his strength is gone, his will is paralyzed, and it is the first time in his life that he finds himself completely powerless. Then he hears a cackling laugh. An old forger woman, bent over from age, stands on the opposite bank of the river. Shankara yells to her, "Get help! Get help!" She raises her head, looks him in the eye, and just continues to laugh and laugh and laugh. Eventually, she dives into the river and in a few swift strokes swims to Shankara, grabs him around the chest and pulls him to the shore. Then she turns to Shankara and says this.
You preach that women are a trap. You say that this world is an illusion. You won't so much as look at a woman, but can't you see that your strength comes from Shakti? Without Shakti, you couldn't even move your limbs. So why do you insult Shakti? Why do you insult the goddess? Don't you know that I am everything? Don't you know that you can't live without me?
Side note, the attitude of that old forger woman is the attitude I feel every middle-aged woman should have. I almost want to make a t-shirt that says, "You can't live without me." But I digress. After the old woman spoke, Shankara had a moment. He bowed down, realizing that he had been insulting his own life energy, without which he couldn't even exist. He realized the old woman was the goddess herself. And after that, he became a closet goddess worshiper. Unfortunately, he never revealed in public that he was now a lover of the sacred feminine power within the world. In public, he still proclaimed himself to be a world renouncer. So here's how this ties to modern day. We live in a culture that is out of balance and heavily weighted to the divine masculine, and I would argue the shadow side of the divine masculine. The things that are praised in our society tend to be tied to masculine energy: career achievement, success, athletic prowess, power. Feminine energy qualities like intuition, creativity, love, nurturing are not as praised, and so we all grow up and learn to shut down the feminine and bring out the masculine. But then what happens is we get thrown out of whack, and this leads to burnout, unhappiness, and feeling unfulfilled. Now, on a larger worldview scale, this work is about what happens when spirit, mind, and logic, traditionally masculine qualities of the psyche, are split off from feeling, sensuality, and the capacity to care for the world, traditionally feminine qualities. We are at a place right now where, in order to restore balance in the world, the feminine has to intervene, because left on its own, the masculine lives in the world of ideas, detached from feeling and from the need to regenerate the world. I don't know about you, but whenever I'm like, how can I save the world? I get so overwhelmed by that question that I just end up like a deer in headlights with no idea where to begin. But what I've come to realize is, you don't have to save the whole world, girl. All you need to do is focus on the little piece of the world that you have an impact on and do good there. And then trust that energy will emanate outwards. I had an epiphany recently where I realized goddess practice can be our individual way of being of service to the world. Because it's such a simple but incredibly powerful way to slowly but surely bring back that much needed balance. So, this is your invitation to help save the world through goddess practice, if you so choose. And as an added bonus, it fills us with wisdom and healing, which is what I so wish for all middle-aged women. They also say the more Shakti manifests in your life, the more your life will change. So may these goddesses we're about to explore make our worldly lives more beautiful, more abundant, and more purposeful. I hope you'll join me on the journey. Love you.